Hello folks, how are you doing? We are going to be doing another natter. I actually planned to do this natter on my own. I was going to do this talk this coming week on my own with some books that I bought. But I found a new YouTuber, so that's kind of changed what I'm going to say because I've got some new reading things to work on. And we've ordered you some books from World of Books.
Yeah.
And we had a book disaster. So we were sat here at lunchtime having a chat about it, and I said, we're going to talk about Charles and Camilla in today's one. And I was like, this video could actually be, this talk we're having could be a natter.
Yeah.
Because I know that many of you that follow us are into books and reading. And I'm sure that many of you are going to be coming across these same issues. And I know what it is. I just want to bring reading back to the old-fashioned ways because I think reading's gone too pretentious. I wonder if that's with all the book prizes that you can get now, which when you look at the people that win it, the authors that win it, it just feels that it's making reading and books become a money grabber and very pretentious. I've read the latest contemporary fiction. But anyway, go on, Gary, take the floor.
In what way?
Like your book.
Oh yeah, so I think I spoke about it before about getting the new Kobe device, and I was renting because I could rent library books. So I've been reading some Robert B. Parker books that I'd found is a new character. Not a new character. He's been around for quite some time. So I've been reading Robert B. Parker's books on Spencer, the detective in Boston. He's also got another character called Jesse Stone, which I think has been turned into quite a lot of TV movies starring Tom Selleck, which I think I can't access because they're on some kind of streaming platform that I haven't got. So I've not watched them. So I've not watched the films. So I don't know how good they are, how good Tom is. I do like a bit of Tom Selleck.
Oh, don't you?
Yeah, I do with Blue Bloods. But yeah, I digress. So I've read so far.
Can't do with wafflers, mate.
So I've read it as far as I could with the library books, and I wanted the next one, and I couldn't get it because I didn't have it. I don't know why. Well, I started reading some articles online about the costs for library books for libraries. Now this was an American article, and they were talking about how much I'm assuming it works the same in England, but apparently if they want to put a book in the library, all they have to do is buy the book. So it's like what a hardback costs £17-18, and then once they've bought the book they can rent it out and until it's fallen to bits. And that's great. It just costs the price of the book. But for an e-book, they've got to pay 3, 4, 5 times the price of a paper book, which seems absurd. And that electronic book has only got a lifespan of 2 years. So after 2 years, if they want to keep renting that book out, they've got to pay it again. Which, for what libraries should be, free access to literature for all, it just seems quite of a money grab from publishers of books. And we had a bit of a talk, didn't we, at lunchtime about, wouldn't it be fantastic if people like Amazon and, I can't remember, is it Roykerton or whatever the company's called that does the Kobe?
I don't know about Kobe.
Yeah, they're another bookseller. Wouldn't it be fantastic if you bought an e-book from, say, Amazon and you paid $5.99 for it, after you'd read it, and if you're not one of those people like Claire over here that doesn't like to reread books, I know I do.
It's changing.
It could change. That once you've read it, you just it's on your library of electronic stuff, and it's no use whatsoever. So wouldn't it be fantastic if you could sell that back to Amazon and then they can resell it as a second-hand ebook? I know it makes no sense because it's not second-hand because it's just electronic literature. But wouldn't it be another decent way for people to buy books cheaper? And yeah, Amazon could make money on it, just like second-hand bookshops.
That's what it's all about, is taking money.
Yeah, but that's how second-hand bookshops make a living, and how they did make a living. But then your booksellers like Amazon just completely obliterated them out of the water. And that's why, all the little second-hand bookshops that used to be dotted around everywhere and no longer exist. because Amazon just destroyed them. And then now you've got people like World of Books that just sort of like hoover up all the books that people either discard or give to charity shops or sell to what are some of these Ziffy and all these places where people just sell big job lots of books for pittance, 10p, 20p a book, and then they resell them at like £5 a book. So yeah, World of Books, we've mentioned it before, and we said they're alright, yeah. Sometimes you've got to be wary that when they say it's a very good condition, it's not that good, and we've got one here. So Robert B. Parker, Damned If You Do, looks alright, doesn't it? Don't look too bad.
Ex-library book,
it's an ex-library book, as you can see, but then you open it. Oh. Now, I don't think
that came as very good, doesn't
that is a very good condition. That is disappointing. So at the moment we're questioning it with World of Books, and obviously we'll probably find out what happens after this video. So I'll put a comment on and let you know where we stand on that. So hopefully we'll get his money back at least. Hopefully I don't have to post it back, because apparently the terms and conditions say that you have to cover the cost of the postage back, unless it's their fault, which I think that's their fault, isn't it?
Yeah.
They shouldn't be sending a book out like that, especially when they've said it's a very good condition. Now, me wonders that they just pick up the first book they see from that thing, whether it's a very good or whatever. I hope that's not the case, but you don't know. I mean, I did get another one. It's a new Spencer one from, it used to be Robert B. Parker, unfortunately he's passed away. So it's Michael Lupricker, who now writes the Spencer books. So that's a new one. So this is technically second-hand. It was dearer than the new book, second-hand, but I got a 15% voucher.
Yeah.
So it actually was cheaper once I just put the voucher on it. So it was worthwhile, and actually it was, because it's alright, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's in good nick. So, you know, you can get good books. It was dear, this was still...
I mean, it's been alright apart from that one book.
Yeah, you know, they're not too bad. There's this one here, it's an old ex-library book again, by the looks of it. Withdrawn from stock, and it was for sale. It was £1 at some stage. We probably paid £4.50 for it. I think the cheapest books that we bought were £4 or just under £4. But the good things with World of Books and these not lesser quality ones, they do 3 for 4, 4 for free. No, not 3 for 4, 4 for free. So you're getting one free basically. So it does reduce the price, and the postage is free. So you think that's probably why the books are more dear, because if you just bought one book, then postage is going to be a couple of quid, isn't it, at least? So the extra price there is what it is. Have you had enough of me waffling?
It's fine. Have you finished?
Oh, you did say.
No, I don't. No, it's fine. It's fine.
You can drink your tea while we're doing it.
It's fine. No, I was listening to you then. So that Robert B. Parker, is that the Spencer series you're going on about?
So yeah, he did Spencer, and this is the Jesse Stone ones that I'm now reading, which is different. Spencer was a detective in Boston. Jesse Stone is a chief of police in Paradise in Massachusetts, and it's quite good. Good character, good stories. They're not massive books. Like I said, I read one, didn't I? One on my Kobo, a library one. I read it in a night. But you know, they're not. Some of them aren't that thin. There's this broken one. It's not that thick, is it? It's 200 pages, if that. I think. But it's, you know, doable. Some are bigger than others. I think when Robert B. Parker wrote them, they were all quite small books, more novellas, probably just a bit better than a novella. Pulp Fiction, maybe. But yeah.
I know one of the things I'm looking at, I've been watching BookTube for a while now, and I don't watch anything to do with work. I just watch BookTube, and a few people that do vlogs on there. And I've been enjoying it. And lately, since I've started talking about books on this channel, I've started to get really overwhelmed with reading and not realised why. And not understood why I've started to get really overwhelmed with reading really quickly to get all these books done. Because on BookTube there's a big thing called Reading Wrap Up, and it's what I read in January, what I read in and you know, a lot of the BookTubers will be sat there with a big pile, and I mean 10 plus books. And the last one I watched, she just read, I think she said between 11 and 15 books in January. And I was like, whoa, I'd felt as though I'd done too much at 6. And she was like, oh, I'm so disappointed. I usually do between 20 and 30 books a month. And I was like, what? And I've seen a few of them doing this, and they have these big pile of books.
They do it full time though?
Some of them do and some of them don't.
Right, I'm going to say.
But some of it, I don't know how they fit this reading in.
Obviously do no work at work.
Yeah, well, yeah. And because I'm
Working
now...
from home.
I'm starting to do these type of videos, book videos. And I think, you know what it is? It's overwhelming. I've come across two new YouTube, I've come across 3. And one's called Cams Campbell, and he's brand new to YouTube, and he's in his 50s. He's actually a bit older than, but I'm the next generation down to us, or up from us.
Not far from me.
He's into his Russian literature. So he reads totally differently to what I read. I mean, very, very intricate books. Yeah. But he started to follow someone called Benjamin McAvoy. I think it's Benjamin McAvoy, who's probably around about my age or maybe a bit younger. And he reads Russian literature and, what's it called? Bronte's, Thomas Hardy.
Yeah, your historic, classic.
What's it called? Classical literature.
Yeah, because it's usually free to get that, isn't it? Especially on Kindle and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Benjamin's been talking about reading deeply, and his YouTube channel has a lot of subscribers on it, and it's a very deep YouTube channel. But he was saying in the video that I watched that rather than reading, he experienced what I've experienced in the past, where all of a sudden, it just, something that was your passion starts to overwhelm you. And he got to a point where he would now rather read quality over quantity. And he doesn't do wrap-ups and things. He will just do... I mean, I'll put the links to all these channels below, so when I talk about them, they're there. But he does, like, classic literature and Russian literature. And he said he would rather spend weeks reading a book. I mean, he reads a book, then annotates it, then goes back and annotates. I mean, it's a very different reading style to me. But he said he'd rather read quantity over quality and older books, and he very rarely goes to contemporary fiction. Well, contemporary fiction would be like... What?
Quality over quantity. You said quality over quantity.
God. Like someone commenting on my other channel there, they do that to me.
What? Saying? Let's get it right.
Quantity over quality.
No,
quality over...
Quality.
Listen.
Quality over quantity.
Quantity over quality. You see, my brain is rewired differently these days. Anyway, so like contemporary fiction. And I was listening to it and I was like, older authors and older books. And he was talking about Agatha Christie as well and the Brontes. I've got all their books. And I've read some of them. But he was talking about, you know, when you get a big thick book and it overwhelms you. I had this problem with this book. So it's Joyce Carol Oates, and it's blonde, and I got it last year, I think it was. I mean, it's a wedge. And Joyce Carol Oates, I've never read her, but she is meant to be like a really good author. And I picked this up a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh God, this is overwhelming me because it wasn't just writing. She starts off the first page and she's talking about the death of Marilyn Monroe, but how she does it. Honestly, it was profound. It was that good. You were like, woof. You were in LA in the 1960s as Marilyn. It was that, the writing. And I can't read it. And I actually put it on my pile to go. And when I was watching him yesterday, I thought, actually, I know it's not Russian literature that he does this with, or classic literature, but she's an excellent author.
Yeah, but it's not about that, is it?
No, but what I thought I'm going to do, what he said he does with the Russian books, I'm going to focus, I'm going to get myself a journal, so I've got a journal out, and I'm going to go through and aim for each day couple of pages, a chapter if I want, a page. And if it takes me a year to get through it, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it how he says to do it, rather than because like underline. I mean, never even write in books, but like underlining in books and really thinking about what you're reading. And one of the things I noticed yesterday was my mind started going really quickly. I've got to read really quickly, and it was like, no, stop, read it. You know, like, there came death unerring, death not to be dissuaded, death in a hurry. It is an amazing opening, honestly. The first chapter's called Special Delivery, and basically Special Delivery is the death that's coming, and it's working its way down America to Maryland. And even talking about that also tells me that maybe Joyce, Carol Oates, realised that it was actually somebody going with death to Maryland. Rather, I mean, you can read it either way. You can say that Joyce is saying that, you know, somebody was going, or it was death on its way, or it's both. And I actually did it yesterday. And I mean, I've only read a little bit, but I thought, yeah, that's what some books you can gobble, but some books I think you should take your time with. And I think I'm getting into that stage of my life where I used to be a gobbler of books and get a real buzz out of finishing it in a day or a couple of days. And some books you can't help but woof. But then I'm wondering, is it about slowing down? Because I think we're getting so stimulated nowadays that compared to how our grandparents, great-grandparents and beyond would have read, and the books that they would have been exposed to. You go into Waterstones now and it's overwhelming. The lights, the colour, the sound. Oh my God, it's like a kid in a sweet shop. Some kids will jump into it and feel amazing, and some kids will be sick. So that's what I'm going to do with this, and I'll keep a track of it. So, I mean, like this one we've got here, which is the book club choice. Elizabeth of York, The Last White Rose by Alison Weir. I've only been reading it 3 days. And again, this is so very different to Blonde, but obviously not as thick, but the minute you're in it, you are in that, you know, Plantagenet core, and the people, the characters, the sounds, and I thought, again, you think about the research these 2 books went through. It took probably months, probably years. I think this took years. I'm sure she said it was 10 years to write this.
I'm going to say, it took me 10 years to write that.
It took me 10 years to read that. I'll still be here in my 60s on chapter 3. So why should we then read that in a day or 2 days? To actually really absorb the different... I mean, yeah. So
it's a difficult one, isn't it? Well, that's
I know sometimes you can read a book and sometimes a book is written in a way that you can woof. But then I also think when I come across a book like this, what I'm saying is I'd get overwhelmed with it. I should be reading this a lot quicker.
No, but I'd say something like this, the history books, I'd read more than once. So I'd read it the first time and it'd be like, I've read it, I enjoyed it. And if I did enjoy it, then later down the line, maybe 3 or 4 years down the line, the new one might come out. I mean, I don't know what these are like.
Well,
you know, and what I've found is if they bring out, so I've found a series of books and it's free. Well, Cohen Ingundal, he's one of the authors I read, and he did some books on Julius Caesar, and he did 4, but originally there was only 3, and I read the first 3, and then he brought a 4th one out, and I thought, it's a while since I read the first 3, and yeah, I know what happens with Julius Caesar kind of thing, but I think I'll read them again, and I did, and I enjoyed them again. And sometimes if you read them fast at a reasonable pace, that you don't pick it all up, and it's like watching a TV programme. Sometimes you can pick more up, sometimes on a second watch or third watch sometimes, and that's what I found, especially with historical books like the Sharp novels. I've read the Last Kingdom ones twice now. I've read the Sharp ones at least 3 times. So it is interesting, especially ones that have a really long series where you might be into 20 books. Sometimes it's good to start right from the very beginning again, and you can, and if you go all the way through, you can pick more character traits up and stuff, and how some of these books are yarned together, rather than just an individual book.
Well, there is. I mean, there's 3 more. There's 2 more to this series that were on here, but there's also the Tudor Queen series, which goes through the 6 Tudor Queens, and that's meant to be. So I think I might. I will keep this. I'm gonna keep once I've read it, put it back on my shelf. Collect the other 2 over time. I might even go buy this afternoon. Maybe not. Maybe do. We'll have to decide. See on which way the wind.
Well, why do you wait till we go to Alnwick and see if they've got them there?
Wow.
Well, I boss.
What if I've moved on from?
We're going in a couple of weeks.
Well,
You'll still be reading that.
yeah, I'll still be reading this in Morgue, but no, I'm gonna go through that. But he also talks about does Benjamin having more than 1 book on the go.
Oh, I can't do that.
Oh, I can.
I can't
See,
do
I
that.
can.
I can't do it.
You see, I know if I know that I'm just going steady away with this, I'll just do a couple of pages a day. This is my read that I'll read in between clients or on a night in bed or before, as I'm making lunch or whatever. But then I've also got to call out a workbook that I would read in relation to client work and stuff like mental health, spirituality, shamanism and all of that.
Yeah.
So I've always got that kind of reading on the go as well, because the boss makes me.
Well, no, but you know, I'd be thinking, what Jack Reacher's going to knock out a shaman at some stage. You know what I mean? It's like
Knock out a shaman.
I won't be able to.
Reacher's good luck for that.
I won't be able to keep track. I mean, I've got my own work stuff that I have to deal with, and keep track of. So I like to just read a book at a time. I think I can't do. I can't do more than 1 book at a time.
But that shows that there's probably because he says about. I mean, the video I watched yesterday. I mean, his videos are so deep as well, and I'm craving deep. I've said this for a while. I'm really getting. I mean, I've got into podcasts, but podcasts that really make you think, and books. And I'm getting the older I'm getting. It's like now I've started eating toffees and nuts as well, which I never used to eat toffees and nuts. That's a tangent, isn't it? But I'm wanting more in my books as well.
I find long-term memory-wise, I can't remember. So I've got a very short-term memory. So if that's what the shorter term I read a book, the more real. What happened at the beginning? If I start reading a book over weeks and weeks and weeks, I'll have forgotten what happened at the beginning.
Well, that's why he goes. He'd finished that. He'd finished that Blonde, and he'd start it again.
I won't do that.
Yeah.
I would read it again, but it'd probably be a couple of years down the line. You know what I mean?
So yeah, I'm gonna get that trilogy. I'm gonna collect them, and I'm gonna get the 6, and I'm gonna, maybe buy a book.
Do you not want to wait till you finish the first one, just in case you didn't like it?
You see, well, this is the gift I've got. This is why Claire never comes across DNFs. Apart from that Blonde, that we know why that was.
Just saying.
But I've never bought a book yet that I'm not like, because that's my gift.
That's why I bought the entire set of Jessie Stones now, because I read the first 5 and I really enjoyed them. And I'm hoping I enjoy the next ones because they are going to be written by different people. There's 2 different authors that took over from Robert B. Parker after he died. So hopefully they'll be good. I've read one of Mike Lupica. He's done some Spencer ones. In fact, he's done the next Spencer one. So hopefully I enjoy his writing. Hopefully he's picked Robert's style up.
You will do.
Yeah. But that's what I tend to do. I make sure I'm 100% sure that I like these kind of books, and then I managed to get them all, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, I'll see how I go with this, but the way I'm feeling, I think I would buy the full set. Well, the new set, not the set. Well, obviously the other 2 books are this one, but then the 6 Tudor Queens. Yeah, I would, but I'm also craving as well books that were written in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
Older books, holding it. I know it's not.
That's what some of these were. 80s and 90s, these. Books, some of the more recent. But
books that were written in the 80s and 90s. Just to go back to, no, it's not like classics, but old. And books that are actually, again, I got into BookTube and I want a book if it's brand new and I can't stand spines broken, I can't stand this, it's got to be new and sparkly. And I buy 2 books, 1 book to read, 1 book for the shelf. It's like, whoa, was us. And actually lately, when you, like those books you got me, Outlander books, when you said to me, that the spines are broken and stuff, I was like, oh God, will I like them? But actually, when you do get a book that's like that, that's not only the story you've got, but also the experience of other people. It's well thumbed, that's the word. And I actually think that's a good sign. that somebody's thumbed it because they've read it. It's
Well,
not
yeah,
just
well, look at this one. Damned if you do. I mean, like, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 22 people's read that book already. Or at least loaned it out and then sat it on a shelf until it expired, maybe. But it looks like 22 people's read it. Let's put it that way.
This is Bramwell then. What's this called? Bram Stoker, Dracula. Dracula is one of my favourite books. And I got that in Haworth. I bought that edition in Haworth. I've never read it before. And I just got really drawn to it. So I'm going to reread Dracula. You see, you can tell a book that I like because I read it and it goes on my shelf. And the ones I've got on my shelf is a whole Harry Potter box, which I'm going to reread. The Brontes, which I'm going to reread. I mean, Wuthering Heights has been read 3 or 4 times now. I think I might even rebuy Her Majesty's Royal Coven book set because I've just ordered Queen Bee with Spridges, which is a limited edition that's coming out. It's a prequel to a series that I've been watching. So I'm going to have a bookshelf of books that I will reread again. So I've got a bookshelf. I'll need to buy a bookshelf, obviously.
We might have to buy a bookshelf.
So I'm going to have a bookshelf of things.
We might have to buy a library. What?
So I'm going to have a bookshelf of books that I've not read yet.
I see an IKEA trip and loads of shouting and banging.
Well, I actually see an online shopping trip.
What do you mean?
IKEA trip.
No, an IKEA trip to buy something from IKEA and it getting delivered and Muggins here putting it together.
And books that I actually will build up a little library of books that I want to reread.
Okay.
I've been watching Miranda Mills for a long time, haven't I? And she reads the classics with her mum. Her mum and Donna. So it's Miranda and Donna. You know Miranda? You do know Miranda?
I think I know you.
Yeah.
I think I know what you mean. What?
And she's collected. She just reads. Well, she does a bit of contemporary. But she reads old classic children's stories and the classics. I think this is a real. What was the Elizabeth Jane Howard? I've got a new book set, Elizabeth Jane Howard books as well for Christmas. Can you go overwhelmed? So they'll probably be Elizabeth Jane Howard that I've never read. The Cazalet Chronicles. So I've got those. I think those will be books that I'll probably read and reread. What do you think? Have your reading habits changed as you've got older? Because mine are. It's weird. This whole Forties thing is doing strange and wonderful things.
I don't know.
And I wonder why you get to a stage where you crave depth rather than. It's interesting. I won't mention the author because that's not right. But there used to be an author that I used to read, and it's like chick lit stuff. And I used to gobble her books up when they used to come out. They were only, so big, a bit bigger than that. And I got to a stage, the last couple I read, it was like, it really cringed me. And I feel a lot of those books are really cringing me now. That I would. What is it called, chick lit? And again, I'm not judging people that read it. It's like, I'm trying to find an example. I don't know. You just have to go.
That's what you'd have with chips.
No, I'm sure it's chocolate, whatever what it is.
Like a chicken nugget.
Yeah. 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 I'm sure that's what it's called. It probably isn't, but there you go. And I'm going to start looking into Agatha Christie as well.
Yeah, I've got some of those, I think.
Yeah.
Electronically somewhere.
Yeah. And Enid Blyton as well.
Never really read any of Enid. Sherlock Holmes books are good.
Oh, yeah, I've never read those Sherlock Holmes books.
They're good books. James Bond as well. Ian
Fleming's. I said that about Dracula. Really? But has Bram Stoker written any more books?
Yeah. Frankenstein.
That's Mary Shelley.
I know he did. The Mummy.
Google it.
Abbott and Costello meets the Mummy.
Yeah. It's interesting, but I think literature at the minute and books and reading is an interesting thing.
Yeah. It depends what you want out of reading, doesn't it? At the end of the day.
And I think it changes as you get older.
Possibly. I'm quite shallow at the moment reading. I don't really want to read anything too intense.
Yeah.
I think it's the way you are though, because we work. I've got quite a lot of technical stuff that I've got to read at times, and it can get a bit in depth and stuff. And it's like when I'm relaxing, I like to read booklet books.
Yeah. No, it's
You know
fine.
what I mean?
I'm not, like I said, I'm not good. Some people would pick that up and go, God, that's so shit. The one that just said, God, what's that? You know, you give that to some of those couple of fellas that I watch, and they'd be like, it's.
That'll be chiclet to them. But yeah, so like your Jack Reacher stuff like that, and you know, it's more blokey kind of books. I'd have said. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. If there's some ladies out there that love Jack Reacher, then
I've read some of Jack Reacher.
Yeah. So, but those kind of books that I like, so they're a bit detective-y, aren't they? But a bit of an action in, like an action hero kind of character, like your Jack Reacher, Ben Hope. They're good books. The last one that I read, it kind of went back in time, and that's why it interested me. Maybe that I might want to read those earlier books again, because it like jumped him back in time, and it's like, oh. I would like to remember what that character was doing then, because these characters changed over time from doing different things.
Yeah.
Over God knows how many books, 25, 26 books or something like that they've written as Scott Mirani now. But yeah, interesting. But I do like to just get into the book and be able to almost get into the character's shoes and do what they do, but nothing too over the top serious. And you just get on and read it. Yeah.
Ben was talking about, because I usually have my phone next to me when I'm reading, I'll still break off, and I think that's been affecting me when it has. And he said when he reads, he turns his phone onto aeroplane, and he has it there, but it's on aeroplane, whereas where I'm at now, it has to be in a different room. And then I can work up to it being on aeroplane, because my attention span at the minute is affected because of social media. And hashtag Kate Middleton is missing. Where's Kate? I got involved in that. Anyone would think I'm a missing persons detective at the minute. So I've literally had to put my phone down. And because like TikTok and stuff, it can be good for some things, but it's, yeah. And he said something about when like you're reading a book and you just break off, you're reading your book, and you go, I've got an email, just let me look at this. I'll do this all the time. Just let me look at this email. It takes you so long to get back to your book, and that's where you actually fragment your attention span. So when you're reading, you should be reading, not reading and then just a minute, because that's how you quit. I can't read that, and that it's always going to be that goes rather than the phone and scrolling and what that does to you, or that.
I only get the phone out if I'm having a break from reading. I find.
And he was also talking about short videos, because he said he gets people asking him about reading a book this thick they can't because of attention span, and he says it's also about videos where people can't watch longer videos because of the TikTok culture. And he calls it like 5-minute bursts, where you go and watch something continuous for 5 minutes or read it, and then the next week up it to 10 minutes, because we should be able to watch. They're all things we don't realise we're doing, because a TikTok video, if it's done really well, it gets you and it does what it needs to do, and you're off to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. But something like a good book or a podcast that goes over 20, 30, 40 minutes, it requires something else. And I think as well the attention span at the minute for everyone is shocking.
What's that?
You've been serious? You look like you're bored then. This is why I was going to do this video on my own.
No, of course I'm not serious. I'm winding you up. You said your attention span.
Yeah, I know. But it's true, isn't it? It's true. And because he was also talking about teenagers, and there's an issue in schools now where teachers are struggling to teach because children can't take teenagers are struggling to absorb information.
But this is that's the problem.
It is, isn't it? If it's not used correctly, it's a problem.
Yeah.
If it's used correctly, it's a door opener, and it's a good thing. If you use it incorrectly, it's bad.
I got shocking with it. When we were back at the old house, I got addicted to a game on it. Do you remember?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. You've done it a couple of times.
But no, that was worse one, wasn't
Yeah.
it? I was literally on it all the time. What was it called now? King's Return or something like that. Can't remember. It's the name of a game, but it was called the King's Return or something, and it was just. You had to be on it all the time to achieve anything, but then there were like tournaments that you joined, and you joined it with other people, and you're talking to people, and you needed to be in those tournaments to get any extra stuff. And it got to the stage, so I was like, well, I can't do this now because I've got this tournament coming up. But it's like you're always on it anyway. And I was always on this game. Any free time I had, I was on this game, and then. I wanted to do the tournaments as well, and they were on at different times, depending on nationalities and all that, a world clock as it were. And eventually I just had to go now, stopping playing it, because it got too much, and I was constantly on the bloody phone or tablet. It's a good game, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. See, I also like the book vlogs that I do on here, where I'll be reading a book and every couple of chapters I come on and do a video. I like that. I like doing those.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking about going forward, whether I'm going to be doing reading wrap-ups or when, like, I've read a book and I think I'm going to talk about and doing a video for each book. What would you prefer? Because, yeah, you read the book and then you give a video about it.
I thought that's what you did.
I did. No, I don't. I do it at the end of the month. So like if there's a pile of books there, 4 or 6 books, I'll talk about them.
Yeah, but maybe you won't have that many books if you're going to start reading slower.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I could do them.
It might be a case if you don't do it every month, you just do it every week or two after you finish the book. That makes sense.
And talk about it via one video. Or I could do I could do a video each book, and then knit them together into one video.
Or you could just do what normal book clubs do: is you just read a book in a month and spend the whole month reading a book.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the month...
Well, we do a normal book club. That's the book club book.
Yeah, I know, but you usually read it in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
people find it hard to keep up.
Yeah, they do.
Potentially. So maybe you want to start like you said, pick a book that you're going to spend time reading.
Yeah.
And pick a time that everybody's comfortable with reading that book.
Well, you get a month. I'll do the video at the end of the month.
Or is a month enough? People read at different speeds, you see, that's the thing. But yeah, all thoughts.
Yeah, they're all things going forward. So I'm a bit on the fence of whether I'm gonna, because I'd hate somebody to be looking at me doing it, thinking they just read 1 book or 2 books and feel really proud, and then go, well, wow, God, Claire's read 600 books this month, and because you've got to be careful, haven't you?
Yeah, people get overwhelmed. It's like
I've been getting overwhelmed with it.
Well, some people might be even the same as you. That you're overwhelmed that your book people are reading 30 books. Somebody on our channel might be getting overwhelmed that you're reading 6, and 1 book might be enough for them in a month. You know what I mean? No, it takes my mum a couple of months to read a book.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just all thoughts, and you've got to read at the slowest pace sometimes in book clubs. Or have 2 books on the go. Have a one book a month book club, and then maybe pick another book that's over 2 months. You know what I mean? Deep
reading book club. Let's take it steady, Gary. Before we bring Blonde in. I know, but you are right. You are right.
You know, try and get people involved. If people are struggling to read more than 1 book, they're not going to get involved with it, are they? I don't know.
Yeah. what are your reading habits? Because I actually really like listening to people's reading habits and what they do and what they don't do.
I'm a consumer, so especially
You
if I like
trigger
it.
me. I must admit
What?
when you're reading. Read it.
Yeah, no, but if I'm enjoying a book, I'll just read it.
It winds
I'll
me
just
up.
sit and read it. It's like when the new Jack Reacher's come, I'll read that in 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
And I'll just sit there all day reading it. And it's like these. I'll read one, well, like I've read one in a night, but I mean, they're not massive. You know what I mean? I could probably read that in a few hours. And enjoy it. How much I consume long term, I don't know. But I'll enjoy it when I'm reading it. So it's like watching a film. You might watch that film and enjoy it, and you've watched it, and then if somebody says, well, what happened in that film? You know, I can't remember, but I enjoyed it when I watched it. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed it, and that's the same with me with books. I'll enjoy it when I'm reading it, but if you ask me, oh, what happened in that last Robert V. Parker book, I'll go, can't remember, I'm on the next one now.
Yeah, well, you would fall into surface reader then, because that's what we said the sign of a surface reader is that you can't remember. And he got like that where he couldn't remember what was in a book. Yeah,
and it all depends how important that book is to you. These are Pulp Fiction. These are, you know, I'm happy to surface read something like that, especially when there's so many books, and I could go right back to the beginning and read the first Spencer one again, and probably enjoy it on the second read, if that makes sense. After going back.
Yeah, no, it does make sense.
And so you can read a book more than once and still enjoy it, but it's not going into your long-term memory potentially, which I think is sometimes better, because you don't really want to bloody overwhelm your long-term memory with too much information.
I worry about that as well, because sometimes I look at some of these booktubers and I'm like, is that really healthy?
Well, it's just that they're good at that, but you ask them any other question and they'll probably struggle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You ask them any kind of general knowledge question, and they might be able to answer a question on a recent book, but you ask them something historical or, you know what I mean? They'll struggle to answer, because all their long-term knowledge will be taken up with all these books that they read. You can only hold so much knowledge.
Yeah. Narnia books I'd like to reread as well.
I think I've only ever read the first one. I've had them. I used to own them, but
you get some lovely editions of old books now. How many Arthur Conan Doyle books is there then?
I don't think there's not a million. It's probably like the Brontes.
See, this is Claire there. She hasn't read it yet. Always already thinking about buying the books.
There's some that are standalone books and some are compilation books. So just like short stories. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Yeah.
So there might be a big thick book, but it might have quite a lot of short stories in there. Like The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, for example, will have loads of short stories in there. But then if you want Hounds of the Baskervilles, that'll be a book on its own. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Strange, isn't it?
Well, it's just how
See, I do find series, I know a lot of people that'll read a lot of different series, and that overwhelms me.
I can only do it at a time.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll read the Jessie Stone books, and once I've read them, I'll move on. But then, if new books come out, that's when it starts getting complicated, because you say, all right, I'll read the new Mitch Rapp book, and then I'll read the new Jack Reacher book, and then I'll read the new Ben Ho book, and then I'll read the new Cato Marco Roman book. And that's when you start thinking, God, I can't remember what happened earlier on in the series. And then you've got to go, right, I have to reread them all again. And the new book comes out almost.
Yeah.
And some of these series that I read, they're out once a year or something like that. So it can be difficult.
Yeah. I wonder if, do you remember the second-hand bookshops will come back? I think they will. Like markets, you can go into markets now in England and you can see second-hand bookshops.
They're going to have, to some degree, yeah. I mean, it's all about money, isn't it?
I think the publishing world's going to start crashing soon, because I think there's too much coming out. There's way too many books out there, and I just think it's like everything. Sometimes it goes for it and it peaks, but then it comes back down with a jolt.
Was
And
this,
there's too much out there at the minute, way too much. Like I say, you walk into a Waterstones on, there used to be Borders in Leeds years ago, I don't think it's there now. And I used to love it, but I think if I'd go in there now, it'd be like, whoa.
But you look at electronic books. Electronic books should have been a revolution in books, like Netflix or anything like that, where it's all streaming. Books should have been the same, where you could just get a book, read it, and that's it, and you don't have to pay a lot of money. And you have got that with the Amazon. I can't remember what it's called, the way you can read as many books as you want, and you pay a subscription. But it doesn't have all the books. It doesn't have all the new books. It only has some books. If you could access the whole library, it'd be worth doing like a, Apple Music or Amazon Music or what's the other one, Spotify.
Yeah.
If they had that for books, that'd be fantastic. All you have to do is pay £10 a month, and you can read as many books as you want from anywhere. You know what I mean? But you can't. The Amazon one, you can only read certain stuff, and a lot of it is the older books or the self-published books and all those kind of things. And again, because once you've bought a Kindle book, you can't share it, you can't loan it out, you're stuck with it, as it were. But if you buy a physical book, I could sell that. You know what I mean? I bought it, it costs us £3 or £4. I could probably sell it, I'd probably get 50p for it. And then it'll come back, and you know what I mean, it'll go around again. So at least you're getting some money for it, and that's how you can keep the second-hand bookshops in go. And I think electronic books have gone down the rattle because of that. Because once you own it, it's just data in a data processing site somewhere else for you. You know what I mean? And unless you want to reread it again, that's it. That's money down the drain almost. And that's where I've said, well, maybe you should be able to sell it back to Amazon, or get some discounts to not be able to access it again. You know what I mean?
I think Kindles, when they first came out, I remember in the noughties, and I went onto my Kindle and I stopped buying books for a long time. It's only over the past year or so when I've started to talk about books on YouTube, and I've started to watch BookTube, that I've got back into books to a point, and that's changed as well, to a point now where I will only use my Kindle. My Kindle's full of books when we go away, because I have a serious reader like, because I struggle with light and books now.
And you might have that problem if you're away in a hotel or an Airbnb or whatever. But at least with your Kindle, you're not having to carry a big sack of books with you. You've just got that
on a train or a plane or
it's just
a
easy,
cruise ship,
isn't it?
you can take all those books. I think they're amazing for that.
Oh yeah, they're amazing for travel and stuff.
But I do think books are also amazing as well.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I'd still prefer my Kindle.
Yeah.
But I don't think electronic books are user-friendly enough. And I think they're too expensive. Because, yes, you can get them cheaper than a physical book, but when the first book comes out, but then when it starts to become older, the book, there's a lot less difference between the cost. And there shouldn't be, because that's a physical book. There's costs to print out, and it's got substance, but electronic books got no substance whatsoever.
No.
Other than the intellectual property right of it.
And I think it's a stimulation as well, because if you pick that book up, the feel of the cover, the font, the ridges on the picture, it's all different. It's all the feel of it. It's the spine, when the spine starts to get cracked, or the smell. You can't get any of that, and I think that's a lot of part of the reading, is the whole turning of the page and the smell of it and putting the bookmark in.
But then again, you get a book like this, and the text's pretty small. When you start getting older,
Spines.
When you start getting older, spines. As I've found, as I've started getting older, I'd struggle with that because the text's too small. And the great thing with a Kindle is you can make the text as big or small as you want. Or any e-reader, because I've got a Kobo as well. So, and obviously, these books text a lot better. So I've got the Patrick Stewart autobiography, and the text's quite small. I am struggling a bit with that because the text's quite small.
Text is a problem, I think, with books. I mean, like, this is another issue with this book. I mean, I think Joyce Carol Oates' first book I've ever read, first few pages, and it's like, this is not just a writer, this is a writer. But
text is small.
It's a text is small, so that's another reason.
Bible text, that, isn't it?
To go slow with it. But yeah.
But yeah, so I think there's pluses and minuses for everything.
Yeah.
But I think the only way electronic books will kick physical books out is if they get more savvy with it, and maybe go down the subscription model where you can read as many books as you want, like you can listen to as much music as you want.
Yeah.
Because a CD costs the same as a book.
Well, does that Amazon Unlimited, Kindle Unlimited?
Yeah, it's Kindle Unlimited it's called, but you can't get every book on it. You can only get certain books on it. Not every book's covered.
Because they've got Amazon Music. Why have they not got Amazon Kindle? Amazon
Well,
Books?
It's Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah, but Amazon Music, you can get any music on there.
You can't get everything.
Yeah.
But you can get most
of
stuff.
it. Why have they not done Amazon Books?
I don't know. Publishers.
Oh yeah, on that. Because I think publishers are becoming.
Yeah. It's
publishing help. It's big money at the minute. It's books.
It is, but it's not as big as music industry. Music industry are happy to take royalties from like your Amazon Musics and your Spotify's and things like that. And I think publishers should do the same. But because obviously people don't read as much as they listen, then they're not going to make as much money as the music industry. But I think that's the way it should go. I think you should be able to just go, right, okay, I'll just borrow as many books as I can. And it's just like a lending library almost. But you pay for that privilege. You pay you £10 a month or whatever it is. And if you can only read one book a month, then you're paying £10 for one book. If you can read 20 books in a month, then you're getting good value for money, aren't you? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then that library's available for forever. I mean, music's the same. I've got rid of all my music CDs. Don't have a single CD anymore. I've donated them all to charity because of you Amazon Music. And if I want to listen to music now, we just pay for it, don't we? Whatever it is, £8 a month. It's the cost of buying a CD a month, isn't it? If that, probably cheaper. And you can literally listen to the music anytime you want. It's just if you decide never to pay that subscription or can't afford to pay for that subscription, you're buggered because you've got any music left. Although I have got, I did MP3 all my music, so, and then that went through Google, which is now YouTube Music. So all my CDs I still have electronically through YouTube Music. So I did think ahead before I got rid of them all, which I wish I'd done with my DVDs. But that would have been a lot of work, because it was a lot of work to MP3 every CD I had, which is another story.
So, you want to share your reading habits and how your reading has changed over life, and what your reading goals are, and hopefully this has made you think, because I like watching videos like this that make you think and question what we're doing, because I think that is a good thing, because sometimes we can get stuck in a rut. Like I've always thought, I only can read these books because that's all I can understand, and actually no, you can read something a little bit more, you can get something else out of it.
Or you could think, I don't read because books are too expensive. Because you look, I don't know, I haven't got, well, let's have a look. Oh, bear with us a second. The new Spencer book, $18.99 to buy it brand new. $18.99. I think this was £14 I paid for it. And I don't think it's new. I think it was out last year. So $18.99, and it's not a massive book, that is it? So if you enjoy reading, it's quite expensive, isn't it? So some people may be thinking they're getting priced out of reading, but then obviously you're not, because you can get it secondhand, you can go to your lending library, and some of these books do eventually come through. You might have to wait a couple of years for them to come to your lending library, but you'll get it. Or Yeah, get it secondhand. I was going to say something else in my main.
I think it's the importance of building up a bookshelf as well, actually. You know, as today, as we're filming this, Sainsbury's has crashed online, and yesterday McDonald's crashed online. And I think it's a big indication that the online world is struggling for various reasons. And I think this, again, going back to what grandparents would have done, they would have built up a library. So you would have only bought books that were precious to you, and authors that were precious to you, and you would have saved them and then come back to them. So there wouldn't have been that, I've got nothing to read. You'd have built up a library.
Yeah. But that's the only trouble with some books, especially stuff that I read is proper pulp fiction. And you read it and then it's your trash or it's somebody else's. But then you might get to a stage where you want to read it again. I don't know. Well, I would, to be honest with you. I might probably get to that stage one of these days and start reading all the Spencer books again. Because they're quick, easy books to read as well.
You reread the Shark books, didn't you?
I've done them 3 times now. And I've done the Last Kingdoms twice. Yeah, I've done that again. Some more Bernard Cornwells that I'll quite happily read again as well.
I think as well, because I'll get this out, because I would reread this again, but I think there's something I'll get out of it this time, but then when you come back to it through new eyes, you'll see something else, and you'll see something else, you'll see something else. I also think the sign of a good book is when you're eager to get to the end, but you actually don't want to because you don't want to leave the reality that you're in. Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
I mean, there is another... What the author, isn't it? Robert Flamini, the one he did Vespasian books. They were very good, and he's currently doing one on Alexander the Great's legacy and basically what happened after Alexander the Great died and all his generals fighting over his legacy. And again, I've been reading those over time, and they are quite complicated books with a lot of characters in.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes if you get the most up-to-date book, you think, oh God, I can't remember all these characters. And so it might be worth going back and starting from scratch and going through it again, which I might do, because I've got one still on my Kindle to read. And that was another one. You can get Amazon books to buy on the Kindle and things like that, and they can be cheap, and Amazon do discounts on books, and you can get really good, but I think I got that one, I think it's called Babylon, and it cost me £1. And that's probably why I've not read it yet, because it's like £1. I'll read it at some stage. And you can get books cheap on Amazon when they do deals and stuff, your Black Fridays and all that kind of stuff. So there is ways and means of reading cheaper.
Interesting.
Yes.
So, am I going to do a reading wrap up for March? Because I've already got a couple of books that I've read. Or what I might do is I might start something to go on and film a separate video for each book. I can't do one of them actually because it's part of a series, so that's out. It's a title and series. But yeah, I might start just do, because I think that's much more easy to, rather a big pile of books there, you have to work through what you've... Yeah, I might start doing them as individual videos.
Might be better.
Yeah.
Might be better.
Let us know in the comments what reading habits you've got, what you're hoping to achieve going forward, because I think it's good to have a plan and to have, because I think reading's such an important thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Bless you. You're funny, aren't you?
I'm funny. You're funny.
You're funny. I'll have to go buy 6 queens now. Bye.
God. Just be careful where you order it from.
Oh, Amazon, brand new, Waterstones, joking.
No, it's just because we're going away soon, aren't we? And if you order it from the wrong place, it'll be sat there on the doorstep.
Yeah, I might go and buy a bookshelf.
And a hammer. You can put it up.
If you got to the end of this video, and you don't want to share your reading habits, then just leave us a pile of books in the book emoji.
Is there a pile of books in the book?
Yes, there is a book or a pile of books. There is a book or a pile of books. A pen, a paper, whatever you, for your lists, your planning, annotating, whatever. And like, comment, subscribe. And if you're new to this channel, we've got a playlist, so there's lots of other natters that you can join us on. And yes, watch this space for more book content.
And more natters.
Yes.
And more
we will
vlogs.
get to Charles and Camilla, Kate and William and Meghan and Harry at some point. See how we're putting it off?
Why are we putting it off? I don't know why.
Get in there, Gary. I think you're a bit about doing it, aren't you?
Not really.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
So long. Bye.